I walked into my backyard and froze. There were strangers everywhere. Kids running, people picnicking, a couple setting up chairs like they owned the place. Then I saw the sign, Community Park. That's when I realized my HOA hadn't just overstepped, they had stolen my land, and no one asked me anything. A few months earlier, this place had felt like the perfect escape. I moved out here because I wanted peace. No noise, no shared walls, no strangers. Just my own space where I could finally breathe without someone telling me what I could or couldn't do. The backyard was my favorite part. Wide, open, quiet. It felt like mine in a way nothing ever had before. At first, the neighborhood seemed normal. Quiet streets, well-kept lawns, the usual polite waves from neighbors. The HOA sent the standard welcome emails, rules about trash bins, lawn height, parking. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming. Just the typical background noise you learn to ignore when you move into a place like this. But then, small things started to feel off. It began with people walking a little too close to the edge of my yard. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe they didn't realize where the property line was. Then it happened again and again. Each time, they got a little more comfortable, stepping a little further in like they were testing an invisible boundary. One afternoon, I caught a neighbor cutting across the corner of my backyard like it was a shortcut. I stopped him and pointed it out. He just shrugged and said, "Oh, it's always been open." Then he walked off like that explanation was supposed to make sense. It didn't. A week later, I got an email from the HOA. It mentioned something about enhancing community access to shared green spaces. I read it twice, then a third time. It didn't directly say anything about my property, but something about the wording didn't sit right with me. Shared green spaces? I checked my property documents that night. Every line, every detail. There was no mention of shared land, no easement, no public access, nothing. It was all clearly private. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. A week later, I got an email from the HOA. It mentioned something about enhancing community access to shared green spaces. I read it twice, then a third time. It didn't directly say anything about my property, but something about the wording didn't sit right with me. Shared green spaces? The emails kept coming. Subtle at first, then more direct. Phrases like community benefit and collective use started showing up more often. And at the same time, the foot traffic didn't stop. It increased. People weren't just walking near my yard anymore. They were walking through it. Each day, it got worse. A dog here, a couple there. Someone standing for a little too long, like they felt comfortable being there, like they belonged there. I started feeling like a stranger on my own property. And then came that evening. I pulled into my driveway after work, already tired, already annoyed from a long day. But the moment I stepped out of my car, I knew something was wrong. I could hear noise coming from the backyard. Loud noise. Laughter, shouting, movement. I walked around the side of the house and stopped cold. There were at least 20 people back there. Kids running across the grass, a group sitting on blankets like it was a picnic, 2 dogs chasing each other in circles. Someone had even set up folding chairs near the fence. For a second, I honestly thought I had walked into the wrong yard. Then I saw the sign. Right near the center, planted firmly into the ground like it had always been there, was a clean, professionally printed board that read, HOA Community Green Space. I felt something snap. I walked straight up to the nearest group and asked what they thought they were doing. A woman looked at me like I was the one out of place. She casually said, "Oh, this is the neighborhood park now." The neighborhood park. In my backyard. I told her this was private property, mine. She just pointed at the sign, like that settled everything. Another guy chimed in, saying the HOA had approved it and sent notices out. Notices I never agreed to. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate. I went back inside, pulled out every document I had, and went through them again. Slower this time, more carefully. I was looking for anything they could possibly be using to justify this. There was nothing. No clause, no hidden agreement, no loophole. Just my name on the deed. The next morning, I contacted the HOA. I expected confusion, maybe even an apology. Instead, I got resistance. They told me the space had been reclassified for community use, that it was part of a broader plan to improve neighborhood amenities, that I should cooperate for the benefit of everyone. I asked them one simple question. Where was my consent? They didn't answer. Instead, they warned me about non-compliance. That's when the fines started. At first, it was small things. Claims that I was interfering with designated community space, that I was creating tension by confronting visitors. Then the amounts increased, the language got sharper, and the people kept coming. Every day, more strangers showed up, some polite, some completely oblivious, some outright dismissive when I told them to leave. My backyard wasn't mine anymore. I couldn't relax, couldn't sit outside, couldn't even look out the window without seeing someone walking across what used to be my space. For a while, I felt stuck. Like no matter what I did, they had already decided the outcome. But then one night, sitting there staring at another HOA notice, something clicked. If they wanted to treat my land like it was public, then I'd treat it like it was public too. The next weekend, I built something, right at the main entry point people had started using. A small booth. Simple, solid, impossible to ignore. Then I added a sign. Private property. Entry fee required. Under that, I listed prices. Entry per person. Extra for dogs. More for picnics. If they wanted a park, they were going to pay for it. The first day it was up, the reactions were immediate. Confusion, complaints, people stopping, reading the sign, looking around like it had to be a joke.